Good evening. Did you go through what is done?
Yes, ma'am.
Time Mila. What is done? How many of you had gone through? Did you go through at home? Huh? How much did we finish? Process हो गया? Process of digestion are we done? Yes. Yes. दिखाओ what was notebook. दिखाओ. How much is done? Process we haven't done. So we had studied with the digestive glands, we had studied with alimentary canal. No? What is the digestive juice released by the stomach? What is the digestive juice released by the stomach? Digestive juice released by the stomach. Digestive juice released by the stomach. अगर बुक यहाँ पे बंद करोगे और एक हफ्ता बाद यहाँ पे ही खोलोगे, then there is no point. All of you must have done that. Juice. Huh? Huh? Gastric juice. Name the digestive juice released by the stomach. Gastric juice. What are the components? Composition is what? Mucus. How is the enzyme in the stomach activated? Activated by hydrochloric acid. What happens when the food is insufficiently present in the stomach? For long duration, if food is not present in the stomach, insufficiently present in the stomach, what may happen? No, amount will not increase, and HCl as it is regularly produced. Then what may happen? The food present in the stomach is in small quantities for long duration. What would this person suffer from? Or what would happen? इसको इसको malnutrition बोलते हैं. What did you learn? What is the function of the mucus? What is the role of mucus? Ulcers would happen. Ulcers would happen. What is the function of mucus? नहीं, आंसर करेक्ट नहीं है. What is the function of mucus? वे नहीं, उसमें still answer is not correct. What did I explain you? What is the function of mucus? Protects the stomach wall. Protects the inner lining of the stomach. Answer पूरा लिखना है, तभी जाके पूरा marks मिलेगा. So protects the inner lining of the stomach, protects the wall of the stomach from the action of hydrochloric acid. Name the 3 prominent enzymes of the pancreatic juice. Amylase, trypsin, lipase. Okay. What is the composition of the bile juice?
Bile salts.
And bile pigments, bile salts and water. Today we are going to learn the process of digestion, but all these things, if it is not clear, then understanding the process would be a bit difficult. So which are the 2 parts of the alimentary canal where digestion majorly takes place? Or name all the regions of the alimentary canal where digestion takes place. No, 3 regions. We are going to understand mouth, stomach, intestine, where digestion takes place. Can you name 2 regions of the alimentary canal that I mentioned already in the last 2 classes, where digestion does not take place? And large intestine. Esophagus and large intestine, no digestion of food takes place. But they have got many other functions. Name the 3 primary regions. Name the 3 regions of the alimentary canal where digestion takes place. Your answer is the mouth, stomach, small intestine. How is the small intestine designed? All these answers I gave you, I suppose, no, the other day. What are 2 special features of the small intestine that brings about or what are the 2 major functions of small intestine? Let me ask you this.
Food passes through slowly, so that
what are the 2 major functions of small intestine?
the food goes to the point that very slowly. So
ऐसे wall और fan की तरफ देख के याद नहीं करना है. Then you will not remember anything. 2 functions of small intestine.
All of these small intestine.
नहीं. To write 2 functions of small intestine. History मत लिखो. This is science, my dear.
No, I'm just saying. It consists of numerous stabilized projections which are known as villi. Villi.
Villi का description तो question में पूछा ही नहीं गया.
No, I am answering. My answer is incomplete. Ma'am, so
write 2 functions of small intestine. Learn how to write answers specific. This is science. Science में 2 word लिखोगे 2 mark मिल जाता. Why to write history? क्यों शुरू से अकबर से start करना है? जरूरत ही नहीं है ना.
Ma'am, it converts the food from acidic to alkaline.
2 functions of small intestine. Mention 2 functions of small intestine. क्या लिखोगे? Number 1, completes the process of digestion. Number 2, carries out absorption of nutrients.
the carbohydrates.
हाँ. What are the 2 functions of small intestine? 2 functions of small intestine: completes the process of digestion, carries out absorption. What are the 2 functions? I had written, no, everything I had written on. I told you lecture notes lena hai, huh? Lecture notes you should write somewhere. Everything I may not give you in the form of question answers. 2 functions of large intestine.
Reabsorption of water.
ऐसे answers के लिए कहाँ marks मिलेगा?
Reabsorption
Reabsorption of water and
Excretion of
formation of feces. Reabsorption of water, formation of feces. Functions of large intestine. One structural difference between large and small intestine.
The small intestine is Inorganized or tier 2 jungle, like this in the structure.
ऐसे आंसर नहीं चलेगा.
Large design is broad.
हाँ.
And
So,
this small design is narrow.
You did not go through at all, both of you.
The large intestine is broad.
Broad and short.
Broad and short, and small intestine is
Narrow.
Extensively
Narrow.
coiled, narrow, long.
Coil.
Long, coiled, narrow. And the other side, short and broad. What is the significance of the small intestine being long, being extensively long, coiled, narrow? What did I tell you the other day?
because the food passes through the small intestine very slowly and
Puna. Huh? You were absent the other day? Only? Anything you don't understand, please raise questions. I want you to learn in the class itself. 60% यहाँ पे ही सीखना है, then it is easy for you. I am telling my story, and if you are not responding, if you are not asking anything, I take it for granted. I am such an excellent teacher. What I have taught, they have understood. Next day when I come, I am so depressed. Some of them, they are not able to answer basic things also. Preparing for an exam is, yes, I have to learn the names, the functions, etc., etc. Understanding concept is, yes, this word I already know, this word ma'am told, this word I know, this location I know. That is understanding in the class. Revising and preparing for exam is another thing. That definitely you have to study a lot for remembering, revising, preparing yourself how to write in a sequence. But the basic things you have to understand. No, hydrochloric acid is present in the stomach. You have to know this. That is one-time hearing. You don't have to read. No. Pancreas is what is the location behind the stomach. That is just one-time hearing. Samjho, please. Whenever you are not understanding anything, listen. Now today we are going to start with the process of digestion. That's the last part of this nutrition in animals. Process of digestion. Now, process of digestion, we are going to study region-wise. 3 major parts of the alimentary canal: the mouth and the stomach and the small intestine. The mouth and the stomach and the small intestine carries out the steps of digestion. Now, what is the definition of digestion? Did I give you the definition of digestion?
Yes, ma'am.
What is it?
The breakdown of complex nutrients or substances into simpler compounds for the absorption.
For the process of absorption. So now we are talking about that. What are the major steps of digestion and what is the meaning of digestion? So we are going to come across this. The major steps of digestion. The major steps of digestion has to be written this way. Okay. So 9 steps of digestion, and for you, the specific names and all not needed. For the general concept, you should know what type of, which step of digestion happening where. Whenever any question is there, you should be very clear that yes, this step happening here, this step happening in the stomach, this step happening in the mouth. So that way we are going to study. So what are the steps of digestion? So we are going to understand today the process of digestion of the food. What is the meaning of the word digestion that we are writing? What is the definition? Digestion, the breakdown of complex nutrients to simpler forms. क्यों इसका जरूरत क्यों है? Because whenever I'm eating a piece of bread in the form of chunks, and now that it is mixed with the saliva, it is forming a mass, but nothing of that can enter my blood and go to my cells. So unless and until that goes to the blood and then cells, it's of no use. I take a chunk of an apple, the nutrients should go to the blood and then the body cells, then it is of use, otherwise no use. So we are talking about that inside the body, the mouth and the stomach and the intestine, there are so many chemical substances. What are these chemical substances? Known as enzymes, which will break down the complex nutrients to simpler forms. Which are the complex nutrients I am talking about? Carbohydrates, proteins, fats. But what are the other 2 types of nutrients? Vitamins and minerals. But now that I eat an apple, I take a chunk of an apple. The apple has got carbohydrate. The apple has got minerals and vitamins. The mineral and the vitamin directly starts moving towards the blood from the mouth itself. Meaning the mineral and the vitamin are already in their simplest form. you are eating some dairy products, milk. Milk has got fats, milk has got sugar. These needs digestion. But milk has got vitamins and minerals also that does not need digestion. They are already in their simplest form. So right from the mouth, as the milk passes through, from the mouth, from the esophagus, the molecules of the minerals and the vitamins directly go to the blood. So what is this process of absorption, or what is this process of movement from the alimentary canal towards the blood known as absorption? So can I say minerals and vitamins are directly absorbed? Is that a true statement then? Yes. Just now what I told. When I eat an apple, the mineral and the vitamin directly goes from the mouth to the blood vessels surrounding. But the carbohydrate part in it, the protein part in it, the fat part in it needs to be broken down till they are in that simplest molecule that can go to the blood. And that's the reason they are passing from one part to the other till the intestine, the process has to get over. But do we ever study the process of digestion of the mineral and the vitamin? Do we have any enzymes in our body for the process of digestion of mineral and vitamin? No, because the molecules are already in their simplest form. From the mouth only, they start diffusing towards the blood. All the parts directly diffusing towards the blood. They don't need breakdown, further breakdown. So what are we going to study? We are going to study only the digestion of carbohydrate, proteins and fats. That's why. No digestion of mineral, no digestion of vitamin. So I start with the mouth. The first part of the alimentary canal where the process of digestion takes place is the mouth. What is the first step of digestion? The first step of digestion is the carbohydrate. We will start with digestion of the carbohydrate in the mouth. Now, in the mouth, what type of digestion takes place? The first part is the mouth I'm talking about. What type of digestion takes place? Digestion of starch. Starch getting broken down with the help of an enzyme. Is the enzyme present in the saliva? Salivary amylase, also known as styrene. So I talk about the presence of these enzyme, and this enzyme is known as salivary amylase. This part exactly I write, you will keep on writing down one after the other, all these equations. So starch getting broken down toward a simpler form, and this simpler form is known as the maltose. Where? In the mouth. Where? In the mouth. Now, the carbohydrate digestion always requires an alkaline medium. Digestion can always take place in the alkaline medium. What is the enzyme present in the saliva? Only salivary amylase. Is there any other enzyme in the saliva? No. That is the reason protein digestion cannot take place. That is the reason fat digestion cannot take place. So, what are we studying? We are studying that in the mouth only one particular step of digestion can take place. And what is that? Breakdown of the starch to maltose. Very starch present in the rice, in the wheat, in the flour, in the oats, and etc. etc. All these food items that we eat, the corn and the bajra and the etc. All these wheat and the flour items, the rice items that we eat, the corn items that we eat, all has got carbohydrates. What is the reason protein and fat digestion does not take place in the mouth? What is your answer? Protein and fat digesting enzymes are absent in the saliva. The saliva has got only one enzyme which can break down carbohydrates. Now, with this specific concept, you are also to know all throughout the body, now that we start the process of digestion, enzymes are just like the lock and key mechanism. Ek lock ke liye only one key only will work. So, for one particular substrate, what is a substrate? This is a substrate, meaning a compound on which the enzyme will work. So, this is the enzyme, this is the substrate, this is the product. What is the substrate for salivary amylase? What is your answer?
Starch.
Starch. What is the product after starch is broken down in the mouth? Maltose. Understood? So this type of compound on which an enzyme will work is also known as a substrate. This is an enzyme. Hamesha when there is a ASE at the end, ASE, that's always an enzyme. Bolo.
Ma'am, is there any difference between starch and carbohydrates? Or they're the same?
Starch is a type of a carbohydrate, form of a carbohydrate. I can say the sugar in the fruit is also carbohydrate. The sugar in the wheat is also carbohydrate. The sugar in the pineapple is also carbohydrate. The sugar in the sugarcane is also carbohydrate. All are carbohydrate, but their complexity differs. This is most complex starch, and then there are many categories. So this is the first step. Let us talk about now. Is there any other step of digestion we are talking about in the stomach, in the mouth? No. So I move on to the next part. Does digestion take place in the esophagus? No, in the esophagus digestion does not take place. So definitely we go to the next part of the alimentary canal where digestion takes place, and this is the stomach. So it is the second step. Stomach, when I talk about, what are some of the features? The medium of the stomach is acidic. Medium is acidic. Why?
To activate pepsin and enable digestion of protein.
Medium is acidic. Why was my question? Because of HCl. Why is the medium of stomach acidic? The medium of stomach is acidic because of the presence of HCl. Now, since the medium is acidic, it cannot favor carbohydrate digestion. Carbohydrate digestion, kabhi bhi, carbohydrate and fats both. Carbohydrate and fat digestion cannot take place in an acidic medium. Name the enzyme present in the gastric juice. Only pepsinogen. Only pepsin.
Yes.
So, what type of steps of digestion we are expecting in the stomach? Only protein digestion. So, only protein digestion. So, the second step that I write, proteins. In what type of food substances? Proteins. Proteins in the pulses and the dals. Proteins in the grains. Proteins in the nuts. Proteins in the dairy products. Protein in the egg, fish, meat. All these. So, these proteins will be broken down by a specific enzyme, and this is pepsinogen. But how is pepsinogen activated? HCl. So pepsin, now we will not write pepsinogen because pepsinogen is not having any function on proteins. Pepsin, to now breaking them down to something simpler. So what is that simpler? We will have to write some simpler forms known as peptones and peptides. Your teacher may just give peptides, but I'm giving both. Both are generally there. Peptones and peptides, complex peptides. So what am I supposed to understand now that I write peptides and peptones? This proteins that I understand, meaning it is a complex molecule made up of certain units, long chains, complex it is. What are these units known as? These units are known as amino acids. Did you ever come across the word amino acids?
Yes.
Amino acids. Proteins are made up of amino acids. So when I say proteins in the fish, in the egg, in the milk, complex they are. How many such type of repeating units? 500 and even more to understand. But now digestion has happened, so this must be something simpler. So these units here must be something 200, and these units may be something. No, again, if I write 500, it will be 200 and 300. Are you understanding? So the complex thing is getting broken down. Complex chain is getting broken down to something simpler. Is digestion over? No, still they are complex. They have to be even broken down. So that is the concept to understand. What is the process of digestion in the stomach? Stomach shows protein digestion with the help of pepsin to result in the formation of peptones and peptides, meaning comparatively simpler, but not the simplest.
And pepsin is also an enzyme.
Pepsin is an enzyme. Pepsinogen is the inactive form which gets activated with the hydrochloric acid, in presence of hydrochloric acid. Pepsin is the main and the only enzyme of the gastric juice. Stomach, any other process of digestion? No, we are not talking about any other process of digestion in the stomach. The esophagus does not show any digestion, so we now straight away move on to the small intestine, the third region of the alimentary canal. The small intestine, to understand, if I refer to this entire arrangement of this gland, so just get an idea which parts we are talking about. The entire alimentary canal. The entire alimentary canal. All of you just look into this, try relating where, which step, which part we are talking about. Small intestine now, the three major parts. Now, small intestine, which are the three major parts of the small intestine? The duodenum, jejunum, ileum, I have always mentioned. But major, the duodenum and the ileum plays major roles in digestion. Jejunum also, but the duodenum, jejunum also steps of digestion. Ileum, I already mentioned, duodenum and ileum, very important. What is the medium in the small intestine? Medium in the small intestine, in certain regions it is alkaline, and in certain regions it is mildly acidic. Overall it is alkaline. The small intestine overall is alkaline. Now, what type of juices enter the small intestine? Name the type of juices that enter the small intestine.
Bile juice
And pancreatic juice. So here in the duodenum, if I talk about the first part, what will the small intestine receive? Bile juice also and pancreatic juice also. But also apart from these two, we have to understand the small intestine receives many other juices from the wall of the small intestine itself. That we are not talking about right now. I will stick to the syllabus. So now, yes, sir.
Ma'am, isn't like a medium and small intestine basic to so that the food becomes alkaline?
Because of this, in the small intestine, especially in the duodenum, actually, the food which is moving from the stomach is acidic. The partially digested food which is moving from the stomach is acidic. Now the food enters here, the food has to be alkaline because it has the fat digesting component coming from here. But if the medium is acidic, fat digestion won't work. So we are going to understand that how is the fat digestion getting initiated here? Because the acidic medium turns alkaline. How? Because of the bile juice, the bile salts. Since we are talking about this, something more that we have to understand here is when we take in the food, we are taking in the food, a process known as chewing takes place. Chewing means what? Mixing of the food with the saliva, and a mass of food is getting formed. And what is this mass of food known as? This mass of food is known as the bolus. Semi-solid. And this mass of food will run down by the way of the food pipe to the next part of the alimentary canal, that is the stomach. But the moment it enters the stomach, it gets mixed with the digestive juices and its consistency changes. And it is no more semi-solid, rather now it is bit semi-fluid. And this is what is known as the chyme. And the consistency still keeps on becoming towards the fluid side, because now it will come across so many juices, and every juice that we talk about in the entire alimentary canal has got water as a main component. Water and enzymes dissolved in it. Is not so? So the semi-solid mass of food that we are swallowing down progressively starts becoming semi-fluid and then fluid. So if I have to talk about the small intestine now, this word is optional for you. This is not mentioned. Take it if you can write, remember code. Otherwise, not a problem. This too you should know. So now the absolute fluid form of the food in the small intestine, what is that called? Chyme. So three names I am talking about: the bolus in the stomach, the chyme in the the bolus in the mouth, the chyme in the stomach, and the chyme all over the intestine. Let us talk about the steps of digestion now. In the small intestine, the food has to get alkaline. That's a major question you get. How is the food made alkaline in the first part of the small intestine? The first part of the small intestine is the duodenum. How is the food made alkaline here? The food is made alkaline because of the bile juice and the pancreatic juice. The food coming down from the stomach is acidic. Why should it be alkaline? To carry out steps of protein, fat, and carbohydrate digestion, all. The first step that takes place here in the duodenum is the breakdown of the fats. Complex fat molecules broken down with the help of bile salts. Are you all understanding? Are you understanding? All bile salts. Where are we? We are in the duodenum. The food is now in the duodenum. What is the consistency of the partially digested food? Fluid, almost fluid now. And the food is partially digested. What type of food is digested partially so far, now that the food is here? Proteins and carbohydrates. Fats अब तक digest हुआ है? No. Fat digestion अभी start होना है. So you get questions when the partially digested food is in the duodenum. Which type of nutrients are partially digested? Carbohydrates and proteins. And fat digestion starts in the duodenum, the first part of the small intestine. with the help of bile salts. Bile salts was a component of bile juice. Remember, we had written down bile salts, bile pigments, bile salts. And the fats will, under the action of bile salts, get broken down. It's a big molecule of fat that we understand from the cheese and the butter and the oil and etc. The big chunk of the fat has to broken down to smaller globules. Smaller globules. So we would write smaller fat globules. Now enzymes can act. Smaller fat globules. So the big molecules of fat break down to smaller fat globules. What is this process known as? This process is known as emulsification of fats. What is this called? This is known as emulsification of fats. This itself for 2 marks you get as a question in your paper. Explain emulsification of fats. So what are the points? What are the basic information that has to come in your answer? Explain emulsification of fats. What is it? Emulsification of fats is the breakdown of complex fats to smaller fat globules with the help of bile salts, which is a component of the bile juice. The bile juice is released by the liver. What is the location? Where is this reaction taking place? In the duodenum. If you don't remember the name duodenum, at least write down in the first part of the small intestine. Duodenum word अगर याद नहीं भी है, then just don't write down small intestine. The small intestine is a long region. So write down the first part of the small intestine. There, this reaction is taking place, emulsification of fat. So by the time the food is in the duodenum, at least we know that carbohydrate, proteins, fats, all are partially digested. Now that we talk about the fourth step. Fourth step means what? The partially digested food, that is the chyle is now moving. So the process of digestion will still go ahead. The partially digested food will again become a bit more simpler, bit more simpler, bit more simpler. So by the time they end up, by the time they reach the ileum, the process of digestion should be over. So that is the process we are trying to study simple. So now by the time the food is again running down to the later parts of the duodenum and then the jejunum, this food, which is also coming in contact with the pancreatic juices, now the pancreatic enzymes will work on the partially digested food. If at all any starch is left, that will be broken down. So these products we have to take and show further what are the further steps. It is like that. But here I would write again the process of starch, because starch is a major component. Why do we write starch twice? Because whenever we eat food, the starch content, carbohydrate content of the food is always much more. So there is always a chance that the food which is running down till the duodenum also, a whole lot of starch is still remaining. But can the starch be digested by the salivary amylase now? No, there is no salivary amylase. Then how would the starch get broken down? The pancreatic amylase does the same job. The pancreatic amylase does the same job because starch is a major component in our food. So starch where in the duodenum? I am now talking about the small intestine. Starch in the duodenum will be broken down now by the pancreatic amylase. Now by the pancreatic amylase, and the product will remain the same. So we are talking about the pancreatic amylase. Product will be what? The product will be maltose, the same thing. Because amylase will break down the substrate to the same product. I now talk about what happens to this partially digested proteins. The partially digested proteins now in the food present here. What happens to them now later? So we will start with this, the peptones and the peptides. The peptones and peptides will be broken down by, which is the protein digesting enzyme? Trypsin. So protein digesting enzyme of the pancreatic juice. So this is the trypsin, and this will get broken down to small peptides. So it is a bit more simpler now. I talk about this. What happens to this fats? Partially digested fats. It has to be even further digested. Huh? Lipase. Amylase हमेशा carbohydrate digesting होता है. Always remember. Amylase, whenever you see amylase, pancreatic amylase है, salivary amylase है, it will always act on carbohydrates. Lipase hai, always on fats. What is the other word for fats? Cell membrane का composition क्या था? Lipids, lipoproteins. You have studied, no? So वैसे याद रखो, lipases are glycerol will come later. Here, what I'm trying to tell you is lipases are always fat digesting enzyme. Lipids from the word lipids. So I now talk about this. What happens to this one? Smaller fat globules. Smaller fat globules will be acted upon by the pancreatic enzyme. Will be acted upon by the pancreatic lipase. Will be acted upon by the pancreatic lipase, and this will give them simple fat molecules. Simple fat molecules and glycerol. Simple fat molecules and glycerol. So we are done? Yes. Glycerol is a form of fat. Cholesterol derivative. It is a form of a fat, simpler form of a fat, which is getting formed. But still the process of digestion is not over. So where is this step happening? All these steps that we write, where are these steps happening? Duodenum, partially in the jejunum. So I would write all these steps are majorly happening in the duodenum, that is the first part of the small intestine. With the help of which enzymes? The pancreatic juice, enzymes of the pancreatic juice. So this way you will have to remember. All these three. Is the process of digestion over? No, still left, because we did not get the simplest molecules yet. Then how are the rest of the steps happening? The rest of the steps are happening in the jejunum, where the wall of the jejunum also actually releases variety of enzymes. That we have not talked about as a pancreatic juice and intestinal juice, because that's not mentioned in your book. But the intestine itself produces so many enzymes to complete the process of digestion. Now, Bolo, what is the doubt? Doubt
I don't understand the handwriting.
Glycerol.
Yeah.
CEROL. So now I'm supposed to start with this again, then this and this. Are you following? So I start with this again. Maltose. Now what is maltose? Maltose is a type of a carbohydrate, simpler than starch. But maltose, where is maltose present? Maltose would be present in all the malt containing foods that you eat, drink, the Horlicks and the Bonvita and the barley and the oats, all these. So this malt containing foods, variety of them we eat, and the enzyme that is present is known as maltase. What will be the simpler forms? Glucose. 2 units of glucose. Is the process of digestion over? Yes, because maltose was 2 units bonded, something like this. दोनों यूनिट के बीच में एक बॉन्ड था. This bond is broken by maltase. Now they are single units, repeating units. Same like the amino acids I explained you. Carbohydrates are also made up of repeating units in large numbers. So abhi maltose is 2 sugar units. Bond jab break ho gaya, they are single units. Now this single molecules can diffuse and go to the blood. Meaning this is the simplest form of carbohydrate digestion. There are few more that we have to understand, because carbohydrates in many different forms. Now this is malt containing foods I said. What about the carbohydrate present in the milk? Carbohydrate present in the milk, lactose. What would the enzyme be? Lactase. What would the simplest form be? Glucose to hai hi, plus another form of simple sugar known as galactose. Glucose, galactose. Composition same hai. This is also C6H12O6, only the arrangement of the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen alag hota hai. Otherwise molecular formula same hai. Glucose, galactose, fructose. Okay. What is the fruit sugar known as? Fruit maybe the sugar of the mangoes, now that you all are eating mangoes, pineapple, all sweet. But is it starch? Is it maltose? No. Type of sugar is different. What will we term that as? Sucrose. एंजाइम क्या है? सुक्रेज. सिंपलेस्ट फॉर्म क्या है? ग्लूकोज एंड फ्रुक्टोज. So I may say glucose also C6H12O6. This also C6. Arrangement orientation is different. So what is the simplest form of carbohydrate digestion? Glucose. Are we talking about the end of the carbohydrate digestion? Yes. So that means the food is already near the ileum now, where these steps are happening. Let us complete. I'm supposed to pick up this now. Small peptides. What happens to the small peptides? The small peptides, which may be 2-3 units bonded together, with the help of peptidases, which are intestinal enzymes. Peptidases will break them down to what? Amino acids. Simplest units, protein digestion is over. Simplest units, protein digestion is over. Ready for diffusion, ready for absorption. Next, what am I supposed to pick up? The last one is this. So I pick up simple fat molecules and glycerol. The simple fat molecules and glycerol. Simple fat molecules and glycerol. What type of enzymes? Lipases I already mentioned, so definitely it should be intestinal lipase. 2 simplest form of fats, fatty acids and glycerol. Fatty acids and glycerol. Simplest form in which fats can be absorbed.
With small peptides, whatever.
Peptidases. Peptidase. T-I-D-A-S-E-S. T-I-D-A-S-E-S. Okay. So now the process of digestion in this 9 steps we can summarize. The process of digestion is even more lengthy one. So many enzymes involved. But in this 9 basic steps we can summarize the process of digestion. So now tell me, okay, I'll give you 2 minutes. Complete karo fast, right? The steps, then I ask you, yes. Simple fat molecules plus glycerol, G-L-Y-C-E-R-O-L. Intestinal lipase. Intestinal, I-N-T-E-S-T-I-N-A-L, intestinal, L-I-P-A-S-E. See, I'm giving you here also. This also correct. Intestinal lipase to fatty acids and glycerol. Now, where are these happening? Okay, let us now come across 7, 8, 9. Where are these reactions taking place? In the jejunum. With the help of what type of enzymes? Enzymes of the intestinal wall. So we will write this is taking place with the help of intestinal juices. Intestinal wall produces variety of enzymes. Okay. So now, once you know this 9, so it is just a continuation. Maltose I write, then again I have written starch because carbohydrate food content is always much. Then what happens to this? I have to follow and then complete. I start with proteins. Now, select here. You get a question in your paper, explain the process of protein digestion. Tell me which are the steps you are supposed to write. Protein digestion starts in the stomach with the help of gastric juice and all. These you have to write little bit. What is the first step of protein digestion? This one?
Proteins.
This step is the first step. Keep now. All of you have numbered this way, no? As I have numbered.
Yes.
Now, next tell me which is the next step I have to mention. Next is which number is which one? 5th. I have to write 5th. And next? Next is 8. Clear, hai? How is the entire story you will never get in your paper. It's a vague, elaborate thing that never comes. But you will come across questions, explain the process of protein digestion in the human alimentary canal. Then you should know how from where to start. Protein digestion starts in the stomach with the help of gastric juice. The pepsinogen gets activated. So this is an introduction you write. 4-5 lines you write. These equations you can write. The first equation, little bit 2 lines on it. Second equation, little bit 2 lines on it. Third equation, little bit 2 lines on it. Conclusion should be what? Proteins are completely broken down to amino acids, which are the simplest form of digestion. Now these amino acids are ready to be absorbed. Go to the blood vessels of the villi. That is absorption. Where will that take place? In the ileum, the last part of the small intestine. So this type of a question, just write down the question and you may leave space. Once you go through, read, maybe next class I will ask you to write. Not now. Now if you write, you will just copy down, there's no point. Write down the question. Explain the process of any one you will get in your exam or some questions straight away. Explain the process of fat digestion in the human body. Explain the process of fat digestion in the human body. Explain the process of fat digestion in the human body. So, once you go through, where does fat digestion start?
In the duodenum. The
In
first
the
one.
duodenum, with the help of what? Bile salts. And which steps now I pick up? I pick up this, I pick up this, and I pick up this. And I explain on these 3 steps. Equation mandatory to write. Once you write down the equation, it is very clearly understood that you are very clear about the concept. Don't just keep on writing paragraphs, paragraphs, paragraphs. At the end, you are also human. It's very boring to see paragraphs. Your presentation in the 10th standard and above should be very crisp, very nice. Diagrams there, equations there, definitely to be used in your answers. Key terms there, always to be highlighted. So whenever anybody correcting your paper, the person is very much convinced that you know the topic. And you have written the words, keywords, key terms are there. Presentation is very nice. So definitely, and this is science. Of course, we all know how to speak good English. But when we see answers, we never check the grammar and the framing of the sentence. Don't bother about that. You can write a set of words also for your answer, and definitely you get marks for that. Okay, but try writing sentences if there's enough time. Clear about this? So now, what is the simplest form? Now just leave about some 7-8 lines for that answer. The next class I will give you this, not today. Today you please go through in this 1 week time. Go through. Please go through, because now that we are approaching towards May, in the month of May we will run. Yes, in the month of May, you will do some exercise enough at home, straighten, make your spines a bit stronger. You'll have to wait for 6 hours lecture. You'll be given the time schedule. You are already informed, is not so? Informed already? Not informed? Why all of you are so blank? Informed or not? That you'll have, no? All of you plan for a holiday. Whatever subjects you are enrolled for. Whatever subjects you are enrolled for, I think I should not have told you. But अच्छा है. Shop जितना पहले मिल जाए उतना ही अच्छा है. You get time to prepare yourself. Plan for a holiday. Otherwise, all of you. Till which date? 31st May.
Yeah, I have already sent you.
Then did you inform this to the coordinator?
Yeah.
Does she know that?
Yes.
How many of you? Entire month of May is working for you?
Yes.
Which school?
International.
Is it so?
Yes.
The entire month of May. Which school otherwise? They give you holidays in the month of June, full June, and half of July. Only full June. Okay, talk to the coordinator also again today. If you have informed her long back, please. And what about the others? Holiday starts from first week. Yes. Are you all aware that you will have regular classes? Not aware? No? You are aware, no? इतना सन्नाटा कैसे हो गया अभी? You are. How many of you are planning for a holiday? You can go, but see that lectures, if you miss too many, making up Find out with the coordinator as early as possible when are your dates. You will be getting your timetable. You already got our schedule, meaning in just a couple of days you will be getting your schedule. So check out your schedule. See when you have got lectures in between. Definitely you can plan for something short. But don't try missing out the entire month, because in the month of May, this is the holiday time everywhere. We finish on a large chunk of the chapter. Definitely 2-3 chapters will be done. Definitely 2 chapters will be done. And now this is a huge chapter. Life processes by the end of May will be almost done. Okay. So for a week or something you may plan, but that you see. So now that we are talking about this, leave almost about 7-8 lines to write this answer later and go to one question. Go to one question, right? She's under shock now.
No, I know it from this.
You knew it, no?
Anyway.
I'm sure you all must be informed during orientation and all. No? You're already informed. Informed or not? No? You're not aware? Your parents did not come for the orientation or no other sessions like that? This right, boys? Huh? Because in the month of May, it's always all institutions like this. In the month of May, in the month of Ganpati Chutti May, Diwali Chutti May, we always Diwali Chutti to almost will be finishing with the syllabus. So now, in the month of May till half of June, till your schools reopen, almost with all subjects, we will now see you'll have 6 hours lecture. Meaning, if you're enrolled for 2 subjects, 3 hours for one, 3 hours for the other. You will get break in between, don't worry. So it will be almost like school. एक school से छुट्टी मिला, दूसरे school में आके बैठना है. And that also your lectures with. What time is your school? For you, don't worry. We'll have to find out how things will be for you. That I'll bring into her notice again. Okay, so write down that question. What are the simplest form of digestion? What are the simplest form of digestion of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats? What are the simplest form of digestion of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats? Two lines for the answer. Next. 2 lines for the answer. Next. Next question. How is the food made alkaline in the duodenum? How is the food made alkaline in the duodenum? Okay, what about the first answer? What to write? Simplest form of digestion of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Carbohydrates, glucose. Though we have written glucose and fructose and galactose, ultimately they also get converted into glucose. So answer, you are supposed to write glucose, right? For proteins, what are you supposed to write? Amino acids. And for fats, what are you supposed to write? Fatty acids and glycerol. Did I make you all very sad? कोई stress नहीं लो.
Ileum no digestion.
What is it?
Ileum.
No. Ileum, by the time the food is in the ileum, the process of digestion is all over. And now the undigested food that enters in the ileum, outside the villi, all the molecules in the form of, in the simplest form are there. Now, if I understand this is one single villi, I understand the inner wall of the which part are we talking about? The ileum. I talk about the section of the ileum. And the section of the ileum, what did we understand? There are layers of cells. But then, what about the central cavity? The central cavity, if I talk about the innermost lining, the innermost lining is extensively folded like this. And where are these molecules then? Where are these molecules? I understand certain molecules like glucose here. Certain molecules like fatty acids here. And what is the other one? I talk about certain molecules like amino acids here. So where are these molecules now present? in the cavity of the ileum. After the process of digestion, the simplest form of nutrition, all are in the cavity of the ileum, the central space of that tube, the cavity of the ileum. But now the next step after digestion is over is we have to talk about a concept known as absorption. Then what is happening? This molecule that it passes through the wall of the villi and goes to the blood inside, this is absorption. So I'm saying that a molecule amino acid is outside the villus. Here it has to cross the wall of the villi and enter into the blood. Diffusion. This is what is villi. This is what is absorption. Why am I talking about diffusion? Because the blood here has less amino acids. Outside amino acids so much. So diffusion, why? Molecules are moving from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. But how is it possible that these amino acid and the fatty acid and the glucose can cross the membrane of the villus? Because the wall of the villus is very thin. Dada Didi had written that answer. One layer of epithelial cells. They have got one layer of epithelial cells, so the fatty acids will all enter into the blood, amino acid all enter into the blood, glucose all enter into the blood. And what is this process going on? Absorption. What is this process going on? Absorption. How is the food made alkaline? We will write. Please write down one question and keep, otherwise I'll forget. Keep some 7-8 lines for that answer and write down. Define absorption. Define absorption. How does absorption take place? In the ileum. Define absorption. How does absorption take place in the ileum?